Imagine this. The second Death Star explodes. Luke Skywalker escapes with his father, but instead of dying in his son's arms, Anakin Skywalker survives. The galaxy's most feared enforcer, the man who terrorized worlds for decades, is now free from the Emperor's control. What happens next? Does he become a hero? Does the rebellion accept him? Or does something far more dangerous unfold? This is the story of Vader's survival, and how one man's second chance reshapes the entire galaxy's future in ways no one could predict. In our timeline, Anakin Skywalker dies peacefully aboard a shuttle, finally reunited with the light. But let's change one critical moment. Luke refuses to give up. He drags Vader's damaged body faster, driven by desperate determination. They reach the shuttle 30 seconds earlier. Those 30 seconds change everything. As the Death Star explodes behind them, Luke works frantically to stabilize his father's life support systems. Using the Force to guide his hands, Luke manages to repair the critical components. Sparks fly from damaged circuits as Luke reroutes power through backup systems. Anakin's breathing stabilizes. His eyes open behind the cracked mask. He survives, but this survival will trigger consequences that ripple across the entire galaxy. Luke faces an impossible decision immediately. The Rebel fleet celebrates nearby, their victory complete, but they have no idea Darth Vader breathes within that stolen shuttle. If Luke brings the galaxy's most wanted war criminal to the fleet, chaos erupts instantly. Soldiers who lost friends and family to Vader's wrath would demand immediate execution. Leia, who endured torture at his hands and watched Alderaan's destruction, would have every right to refuse his presence. Mon Mothma and Admiral Akbar would face intense pressure to try and execute him immediately. The alliance could fracture before the New Republic even forms. Luke sets coordinates for Dagobah, the remote swamp planet where Yoda trained him. It's hidden from the galaxy, strong with the Force, and far from anyone who might recognize the dark figure in his shuttle. But this decision means lying to everyone he loves, deceiving the rebellion, becoming complicit in hiding a war criminal. The weight of this choice settles on Luke immediately. On Dagobah, Anakin faces the consequences of his actions. For 23 years, the dark side clouded his emotions and numbed his conscience. The Emperor's influence acted like a constant sedative, suppressing guilt and amplifying rage. Now that influence vanishes completely. Every victim's face returns with perfect clarity. The younglings he murdered in the Jedi temple, their terrified eyes burned into his memory. The Jedi Masters who trusted him before he betrayed them. The billions who died under his direct command. The full horror crashes down without mercy. The physical damage is equally devastating. Vader's suit barely functions after the Emperor's lightning and the escape. Circuits spark randomly. The respirator fails for terrifying seconds before stuttering back to life. Without Imperial engineers and specialized equipment, Luke can only perform crude repairs using salvaged shuttle components. Anakin's burned body, already damaged catastrophically on Mustafar, deteriorates further daily. The Emperor's Force lightning damaged organs already failing. He needs constant medical attention, regular Bacta treatments when Luke can acquire them, and Force-assisted healing just to survive each day. He's not the powerful Sith Lord anymore. He's a broken man, dependent on his son's compassion. Luke attempts to guide his father through meditation, helping him reconnect with the light side. But the process reveals something troubling. The dark side fundamentally altered Anakin's Force connection. Every time he reaches out now, he experiences agonizing feedback. The Force itself seems to reject him, as if his crimes created a permanent scar in the cosmic energy field. Where he once felt peace and power, he now feels resistance and pain. There's no magical healing, just constant effort against a current pushing him toward darkness. The Force ghosts appear over the following weeks. Yoda arrives first, explaining that redemption isn't about feeling better or being forgiven. It's about accepting that some actions can never be undone, some losses never repaid. Anakin must carry the weight of his crimes every day for whatever time remains. There's no peace in redemption, only purpose and the work of preventing future suffering. Obi-Wan's arrival cuts deeper. These two men were brothers once, the closest of friends, but their reunion brings no reconciliation, only painful acknowledgement of what was lost. Obi-Wan can't offer forgiveness, because some things transcend personal forgiveness. The younglings don't have Force ghosts to speak for them. The billions who died on Alderaan will never know their destroyer survived. Obi-Wan can only offer Anakin a chance to prevent future atrocities, not absolution for past ones. Through these painful conversations, Anakin realizes something crucial. He possesses knowledge that could save millions, intimate details of every Imperial secret, every hidden contingency, every weapon facility. The Emperor trusted him with information no one else has. If he shares that intelligence with the New Republic, he might prevent years of warfare. It won't redeem him, but it might give his survival meaning. While Anakin wrestles with purpose on Dagobah, the galaxy transforms in ways that make his contribution critical. The Emperor's death triggers catastrophic fragmentation. Imperial Moffs and Grand Admirals fight openly for control. Grand Moff Kane declares his territory independent as the Pentastar alignment. Admiral Hask seizes the core worlds. Warlord Zinj carves out massive territory in the Outer Rim. Dozens of warlords command Star Destroyers and weapons of mass destruction. The galaxy fractures into competing military dictatorships, each willing to massacre civilians to hold territory. Most dangerous of all, Grand Admiral Thrawn consolidates power in the unknown regions. Unlike other warlords scrambling for immediate power, Thrawn plays a longer game. He gathers the most competent officers, secures shipyards, and builds strategic reserves. He studies the New Republic carefully, identifying weaknesses. He's positioning himself to reunify the entire Empire under his command, and he has the brilliance to succeed. The New Republic forms quickly under Mon Mothma, but they're overwhelmed. Thousands of worlds need humanitarian aid. War crime tribunals must be established. Militarily, they face dozens of Imperial remnants, each capable of devastating entire sectors. The fleet stretches impossibly thin, trying to protect 1,000 worlds simultaneously. Without intelligence, analysts project 15 years of grinding warfare costing millions of lives. Intelligence becomes the most critical need. The New Republic fights blind. They don't know where Imperial weapons facilities hide, which governors support which warlords, or where resources are stockpiled. Every operation risks massive casualties because commanders lack basic intelligence. Training new operatives takes years. Captured officers rarely talk. Defectors provide limited information. The New Republic fights the largest conflict in galactic history without functional intelligence. This is where Anakin's survival changes everything. 6 months after Endor, Anakin makes contact through Luke. He offers intelligence in exchange for nothing. Anonymous information the New Republic can verify. He provides coordinates, activation codes, strategic assessments based on his knowledge of Imperial psychology. Leia receives this offer with justified rage. The man who tortured her wants to help. The man who watched Alderaan burn now claims useful information. Every instinct screams rejection. But Mon Mothma and Admiral Akbar review the strategic situation with brutal practicality. They're losing slowly. Imperial attacks kill thousands weekly. Without better intelligence, they'll spend 15 years bleeding resources. If this intelligence is accurate, it could save hundreds of thousands of lives. The moral question has no good answer, but the practical calculation is clear. After intense debate, they accept under strict conditions. The source remains anonymous. Every piece of information gets verified before action. The New Republic develops a verification protocol. Compare coordinates against captured Imperial logistics databases. Cross-reference personnel information with seized chain of command records, and conduct reconnaissance missions to confirm targets. If anything proves deliberately false, they terminate the arrangement and hunt the source. The impact is immediate and dramatic. Within 3 months, Anakin identifies 17 hidden weapons facilities. New Republic intelligence confirms locations through captured supply manifests. Reconnaissance verifies the facilities exist exactly as described. They destroy these sites before warlords can seize the weapons, preventing superweapons from deployment against civilians. Intelligence analysts estimate these strikes alone prevent at least 40,000 civilian casualties. He reveals locations of secret Imperial treasuries containing trillions of credits in seized assets. Intelligence cross-checks against financial records from liberated worlds and confirms the accounts exist. Recovery teams find the wealth exactly where indicated. This funds reconstruction on hundreds of worlds and feeds refugee populations for years. He exposes 73 high-ranking Imperial officers hiding under false identities. The New Republic matches descriptions against personnel files from captured Star Destroyers and confirms identities before arrests. These aren't low-level functionaries, they're Moffs and admirals actively planning insurgencies. Their arrests prevent uprisings that would have cost tens of thousands of lives. Most critically, Anakin provides detailed intelligence on Thrawn's operations and tactical philosophy. He knows how Thrawn thinks because they work together for years. When Thrawn attempts to bait the New Republic into a trap at Sluisvan shipyards, Anakin recognizes the pattern from tactics Thrawn discussed years earlier. New Republic scouts verify unusual fleet movements, matching Anakin's warning, and avoid the trap entirely. Thrawn loses a major opportunity, and the New Republic saves 40,000 workers and dozens of capital ships. Over the following years, Anakin's intelligence continues reshaping the war. He identifies hidden supply lines that reconnaissance confirms and interdicts. He reveals which governors funnel money to Imperial remnants, verified through financial investigations. He provides partial codes for Imperial communications that cryptographers use to break enemy networks. He predicts which warlords will ally and which will fight, allowing strategic exploitation of divisions. The effect on the war's timeline is dramatic and measurable. From 6 months after Endor, when Anakin begins providing intelligence, the conflict's trajectory changes fundamentally. Major fighting that strategists projected would last 15 years instead ends in 7 years from Endor. Battles that would devastate sectors become surgical strikes with minimal collateral damage. The New Republic consolidates control years faster, allowing earlier transitions to democratic governance and economic recovery. But this arrangement creates a profound moral crisis. They're accepting help from one of history's greatest war criminals. When rumors circulate about a highly placed Imperial source, debates explode across the Senate and public forums. Some senators argue that working with any Imperial legitimizes the old regime and betrays everything the rebellion fought for. How can they claim moral authority while protecting war criminals? Others counter that refusing information that saves lives is itself a moral failure. They have a responsibility to protect civilians. The tension escalates when a New Republic intelligence officer leaks partial information about the source to the press. The leak reveals their informant was a senior Imperial with direct access to Palpatine. Public outcry becomes deafening. Alderaan survivors demand identification and trial. Multiple planets threaten to leave the New Republic. The Senate nearly tears itself apart. Leia faces an impossible position. She's the New Republic's most prominent voice for justice. Her entire identity centers on holding Imperials responsible. But she's protecting the secret that her biological father is the source. If truth emerges, it would destroy her credibility and fracture the government. The crisis forces a broader reckoning. The New Republic establishes a classified policy. Sources who provide verifiable intelligence that saves lives receive limited immunity, but only with permanent exile and full cooperation. It's unsatisfying to everyone, but prevents governmental collapse. Meanwhile, Thrawn grows dangerous as he realizes someone leaks Imperial secrets. He begins intensive counterintelligence operations. He plants false information to trace intelligence flows. He creates fake targets to identify the source. He monitors patterns and narrows possibilities. His tactical mind deduces the source must have sat in the highest Imperial councils. Earlier, his forces detected 2 life signs on the shuttle that escaped the Death Star. Thrawn begins to suspect the impossible, that Vader might have survived. The cat-and-mouse game escalates over years. Thrawn sets traps. Anakin, sensing deception through the Force, warns the New Republic. Thrawn analyzes which traps are avoided and adjusts his theories. It becomes a deadly chess match played across the galaxy. Thrawn nearly captures Luke during one operation, missing by minutes. The danger intensifies constantly as Thrawn gets closer to the truth. 7 years after Endor, the New Republic solidifies control over most of the galaxy. Imperial remnants are pushed to isolated sectors. Thrawn remains dangerous but contained. Democratic institutions take root. The galaxy begins healing. Anakin's intelligence has proven crucial, though only 5 people know the truth. But Anakin's body has been failing throughout these years. The damage from Mustafar was terminal. Years in the suit caused progressive organ deterioration. The Emperor's lightning destroyed barely functioning systems. Despite force healing and medical intervention, his respiratory system collapses. His heart fails. His organs shut down. He has days left. Luke and Leia visit him together at a remote medical facility. It's the first time the 3 of them share a room. The meeting is awkward and painful. Leia doesn't call him father. She may never forgive him, but she sits beside his bed because his intelligence saved hundreds of thousands of lives, and that counts for something. They are a broken family built on tragedy, but they're connected. Anakin, speaking in short phrases between labored breaths, shares brief memories of Padme that Luke and Leia never knew. He describes their mother's courage and dedication to helping others. He admits his fear of losing her drove him to darkness. The conversation is raw and honest, but exhausting for Anakin's failing body. Then, gathering his remaining strength, Anakin reveals something that changes everything about the future. Years ago, approximately 2 years before the Battle of Yavin, during a rare moment when the Emperor believed himself alone, Anakin observed him accessing a hidden terminal in his private chambers on Coruscant. The Emperor thought Vader was on an assignment in the Outer Rim, but Anakin had returned early and concealed his presence using the Force. From his hidden position in the shadows, Anakin saw the Emperor reviewing files marked with an unfamiliar designation: Final Order. Anakin only glimpsed the screen briefly before silently retreating to avoid detection, but he saw a reference to a world called Exegol in the unknown regions. The Emperor, obsessed with mortality despite his dark side powers, created something hidden on Exegol. Anakin doesn't know details. He couldn't risk investigating without alerting Palpatine. But the Emperor's body language during that brief moment conveyed both satisfaction and menace. It was insurance against his death, revenge reaching from beyond the grave, something designed to activate years after his death. The information terrifies Luke and Leia as they grasp the implications. If this final order exists and activates as planned, everything they've fought for could collapse. The Emperor's malevolence reaching forward through time to destroy the future. But Anakin's memories are limited. He only glimpsed a screen briefly years ago. His body is shutting down, making extended conversation impossible. Luke grips his father's hand, using the Force to ease his pain. Leia leans forward despite herself. Anakin struggles to provide one more critical detail. On the screen, beside the Exegol reference, he saw a name. A person the Emperor trusted absolutely with this project. Someone who might know the complete truth about what waits in the unknown regions. Medical equipment alarms intensify as Anakin's vital signs plummet. His breathing becomes shallow and irregular, but he forces himself to focus one final time, to give Luke and Leia this last tool to protect the galaxy. His scarred lips form a name, barely audible, but unmistakable. If you've enjoyed this journey through an alternate Star Wars timeline, there are more untold stories waiting to be discovered. Join our growing community of Star Wars enthusiasts who believe in exploring these what-if moments that could have changed the galaxy far, far away. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and activate notifications to catch our next alternative Star Wars story. Each tale offers a new perspective on the characters we love and the choices that define them. Remember to share your thoughts in the comments below. What other pivotal moments in the Star Wars saga would you like to see explored differently? Your ideas might inspire our next adventure. May the Force be with you, always.